I had been an insurance fraud investigator for 11 years, and I thought I could spot a lie from a mile away. I was wrong. The biggest lie of my life was sleeping next to me every single night, and I never saw it coming until the day my own car told on her. My wife Dana worked as an emergency room nurse at Baywood Medical, the kind of job where exhaustion was normal and coming home late was never a red flag. We had been married 6 years, and I loved the way she still hummed while she made coffee in the morning. That image sat on a rainy Tuesday when I opened the manufacturer app on my phone to check our car's charging history before a long trip. I noticed something strange. The car had been charged 3 times that week at a location I did not recognize, a strip mall on the east side of town, always between 11 at night and 1 in the morning, hours after Dana said she left her shift. I told myself there was probably a simple explanation. Maybe she stopped for gas or picked up food. But the timestamps kept repeating, night after night, always the same coordinates. I decided to check the vehicle in person before jumping to conclusions, because that is what a good investigator does. On Thursday morning, while Dana showered, I searched the car thoroughly. Under the rear seat cushion, wedged into a gap near the seatbelt anchor, I found a second phone wrapped in a sandwich bag. My hands were shaking as I turned it on. It was not password protected. The messages were with someone saved as tow guy. The conversation went back 4 months. I scrolled and my stomach dropped with every line. There were photos, hotel confirmations, and messages that left nothing to the imagination. But one thread stopped me cold. It was not about romance. It was about numbers, claim amounts, and something called the Thursday job. I recognized the language immediately because it was my job to recognize it. This was not just an affair. This looked like staged accident fraud, the exact kind of scheme my unit at Meridian Insurance had been chasing for months, a ring we internally called the Route 9 cluster, where low-speed collisions were reported with wildly inflated soft tissue injuries, all treated at the same clinic, all signed off by the same treating physician. I put the phone back exactly where I found it and said nothing that morning. Confronting her without proof would only make her destroy the evidence and disappear the moment she felt exposed. Instead, I drove to work and pulled the Route 9 cluster file myself. My hands were cold as I searched the claimant list. There it was. Dana had signed off on discharge notes and pain assessments for 6 of the 11 claims tied to that cluster. Every single one under her nursing credentials. Every single one inflating injury severity beyond what the actual accident reports supported. Tow guy, as it turned out, was Vince Alvarez, owner of a body shop called Alvarez Collision on Route 9. His shop repaired the damaged vehicles, his tow truck responded to nearly every staged accident, and he had a documented history of insurance disputes going back years. Dana had met him 8 months earlier when our own car needed minor bumper work. I remembered that repair. I had shaken his hand. That night I lay next to Dana and listened to her breathing, wondering how someone could build an entire second life inside the seams of the one we shared. Part of me wanted to scream at her right there, but I thought about the case files, the 6 inflated claims, the pattern of fraud that could put her in prison if handled the wrong way. I needed this done properly, through evidence, not emotion. I spent the next 3 weeks building a file the way I would for any suspect, except this time the suspect slept in my bed. I documented the charging timestamps, cross-referenced them with claim filing dates, and quietly photographed pages from the second phone using my own device during moments when Dana was asleep or at work. I brought everything to my supervisor, a sharp woman named Carol Whitfield who ran our special investigations unit, and told her I needed to recuse myself from the case due to a personal conflict, without revealing that the conflict was my wife. Carol assigned 2 other investigators, Priya Nair and Tom Reyes, and I handed over the file anonymously through official channels, the same way any teepster would. Within 2 weeks, Priya and Tom had subpoenaed clinic records, matched signature patterns, and confirmed that Dana's documentation on all 6 claims contradicted objective imaging results that showed no injuries consistent with what she had written. Vince's tow logs placed his truck at accident scenes before witnesses even called for help, which meant he had known the collisions were happening in advance. The fraud task force moved fast once the pattern was confirmed. Detectives from the County Fraud Bureau obtained warrants for Vince's shop and for the clinic Dana worked with. They found staged collision footage stored on a hard drive at Alvarez Collision, along with texts between Dana and Vince discussing which claimants to recruit and how much each fake injury would pay out. The total scheme was estimated at just under $400,000 across 11 claims. Dana was arrested on a Tuesday morning outside Baywood Medical, in front of coworkers who had no idea what she had been doing after her shifts ended. I was not there. I had moved into a rental apartment across town 2 days earlier, the moment I learned the arrest warrants were finalized, because I could not watch her get handcuffed in the parking lot where I once brought her lunch during double shifts. The nursing board suspended her license within a month, pending the outcome of the criminal case, and later revoked it permanently once she pleaded guilty to insurance fraud and falsifying medical records to avoid a longer trial. Vince faced additional charges for conspiracy and staged accident fraud, since 2 of the collisions had caused real injuries to innocent third parties who had no idea they were pawns in someone else's payout scheme. I filed for divorce the same week the warrants were executed, citing irreconcilable differences, though everyone who knew the real story understood exactly what those words meant. Dana tried calling me twice from the county jail before her bail hearing. I let both calls go to voicemail. There was nothing left to say that 6 months of evidence had not already said for me. The strangest part of the whole ordeal was standing in the courtroom during her sentencing hearing, watching the same woman who used to hum over morning coffee accept a plea deal that included restitution payments and 3 years of probation, with the possibility of jail time if she violated any terms. She looked at me once from across the room. I did not look away, but I did not offer her anything either. Some silences say everything. People ask me now if I regret building the case myself instead of just confronting her that first night with the phone. I do not. If I had walked in yelling, she would have deleted everything, warned Vince, and both of them would have vanished into another version of the same lie somewhere else. Instead, 11 fraudulent claims were reversed. Real accident victims got their records corrected, and a woman who spent months lying to my face is now paying restitution for the family she never actually valued. I still work in fraud investigation. I still trust the evidence over the story someone tells me, and every time I open that charging app now, checking timestamps out of habit more than necessity, I remember that the truth does not need permission to surface. It just needs someone patient enough to let it.